Hello friends. Now let us take up the concept number 18.16, types of exceptions. So far I have explained what is exception, why they are created, what is exception handling mechanism and other allied concepts. Now let us focus on classification of exceptions, types of exceptions. Basically, all exceptions are classified into two groups, checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions. Checked exception, according to me, it is a misnomer and it creates a confusion to you. However, I will give you a tip little later. By that, you can understand the real meaning and purpose of that. Whenever a code you write in a program, in a method, in case of checked exceptions, you must write exception handling code. That means, without writing exception handling code, if you write such statements, compiler does not compile. That point you must remember. Once again I repeat, certain types of statements are there which throw checked exceptions. What are the checked exceptions? I will tell you. In such cases, you do not have an option to write exception handling code. You must write exception handling code using try, catch or finally. If you do not write such exception code in your program, compiler does not compile the program. That point simply you remember. So, required to be handled at compile time. Number 2, those are subclass of exception in all packages except runtime exception and error subclasses. Actually, this point I have to explain to you, and with reference to Java Lang package, I am going to explain Java Lang package only. In Java Lang package, this is throwable class, this is the super class, and which deals with all the exceptions, the super class for all types of errors and exceptions. From that, exception and error, two classes are created. And as far as exception classes are concerned, another classification is there, that is runtime exception. Runtime exception class 20 numbers and other exception classes are there, these are 7 numbers. So, as far as exception class is concerned, these are the subclasses. Error class is concerned, there are 23 subclasses. Okay. Now, which are checked exceptions? That is your doubt. These are checked exceptions. These 7 numbers are checked exceptions. That means, how you can understand all subclasses of exception class except the subclasses of runtime exception class. Runtime exception class and error class, these are treated as unchecked exceptions. Only this one, this category exception class subclasses are checked exceptions. Whenever you are dealing with them, such type of code if you write in your program, you do not have any option to write exception handling code. That means, it is mandatory for you to write exception handling code using try, catch, finally, etc. Okay, that point you remember. And one more very important point you must remember is, now I have written, for the sake of idea and easy explanation, I have written Java Lang package only. Actually, the checked exceptions are in other packages also. Now, if you see Java IO package, Java Net package, Java SQL package, in these packages also these exception class checked exceptions are there. That point you must remember, that do not limit it to Java Lang package. So, Java IO package also consists of checked exception, and as well as Java net package and Java SQL package also having checked exceptions. And as far as unchecked exceptions are concerned, not only this group, and you can find Java util package also you can find unchecked exceptions. Unchecked. So, one thing I must tell you, actually version to version new classes may be added. First you understand that which classes are earmarked as exception classes. For this purpose you have to explore library. Already I told you Java API you have to explore. In that, when you take this class, then use a tree button. Actually on the top of it you can find a tree. If you press that, entire class, entire group as a tree, that means which is the super class, which is the subclass, which is subclasses, all that as a tree it comes. As I told you already when I explained Java lang package, in all packages you can find exceptions, exception classes. Just you have to explore that. Until unless you explore, you cannot master them. What is the structure you cannot understand. That is why once again I am telling you, you go to this, and when you open this, then you go to tree button, you press tree button, and the tree structure of this hierarchy is displayed. By that you can easily understand, and this group only are checked exceptions, and remaining runtime exceptions for 20, this number may be changed, do not rigidly follow that, error 23 numbers, and in other packages also you can find checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions, all that you have to notice. So, nobody can give you spoon feeding for that, you must notice that, otherwise you have to bear consequences. So, for all checked exceptions, whenever you are writing such code which throw checked exceptions, you must write exception handling code. You do not have any option. That point you must remember. One exception is there, that I will tell you little later. I do not want to confuse you right now. So, this thing, these represents higher failure rate. Actually, these can be recognized at compile time only. So, these precautions are not taken. That means, if you do not write exception handling code, the program will fail. That is why at compile time only it is taken care of. Actually, when we have to take precautionary steps and all that, we classify first group and second group, first group of precautions and second group of precautions. First group checked exceptions are like first group of precautions you must take, second group of precautions also you must take, but first group of precautions are called checked exceptions. For them you have to write exception handling code. Without that compiler itself does not compile the program, not interpreter. And one more point you have to understand, all exceptions, whether they are checked exceptions or unchecked exceptions, all are handled at interpretation time only, not at compile time. But as far as checked exceptions are concerned, if you do not write exception handling code, the compiler does not compile that. So, this group the runtime exception class and its subclasses, error class and its subclasses are treated as unchecked exceptions. Exception class and its subclasses, other subclasses, this is also subclass, excluding these other subclasses are called checked exception classes, and for that you must write the code. And now let us come to other group, unchecked exceptions. Already I told you These are unchecked exceptions. Actually, unchecked exceptions are, most exceptions are programming errors. Programming errors means actually simply identify them by programmers negligence, ignorance or inadvertence they may occur. Suppose you have created an array with 100 elements, list 100. If you have to represent the last element, you must write list 99, but not list 100. By inadvertence or ignorance or negligence, programmer writes an expression list 100, it leads to array index out of bound exception. And one more example I tell you, in integer division the denominator never be 0. So, that if the programmer does not identify that, it leads to programming error. All such type of things, whatever I explained through demos and all that, all are unchecked exceptions. One thing I am telling you, as far as unchecked exceptions are concerned, you may write exception handling code, but it is optional, it is not compulsory. But as far as errors are concerned, error subclass are concerned, if you write exception handling code also, there is no use, because those are mainly external errors, running out of memory, internet failure, file, file corrupted. Such type of cases we cannot handle. Such type of cases come under that, they are unchecked exceptions.